Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Be Yourself Life Sciences. This is Dr. Rajni Sharma and in the series of immunology I am about to discuss about the complement system. In my previous videos of immunology I already have given brief introduction about the immunology and the components of immunology. Complement system is one of the major topic in immunology because it activates for the innate and acquired immunity to activate its own activity, and it helps the body to function or immunologically assist the body to work properly. So let's start with this. So in this section I will be discussing the four part of the complement system. First is how this complement system come into existence. It means how we come to know that there are certain system known as the complement system. So we will be discussing about the discovery of the complement system. And complement system actually consists of so many small components, and they all together combine together to form a complete system of complement. So here we will also discuss about different components of the complement system, so that whenever I will be discussing in detail of the complement system, it will be easier for you to understand that. Of the different system of components of the complement system, complement system 1 is the most complex structure. So in this I will also discuss about the structure of the complement system 1. And to activate the complement system there is a requirement of antibodies too, and these two antibody, immunoglobulin M and immunoglobulin G, particularly G1, G2 and G3, activates the complement system. So why only these two antibody activate the complement system? I will be discussing about that too. So let's start. Come to the first point, which is the discovery of the complement system. So actually in the year 1890s itself, the concept of complement system came into existence. This was by the Jules Bordet, who was working in the Institute of Pasteur in Paris, and he was working on the sheep, and he was working on the bacteria Vibrio cholerae. We know that Vibrio cholerae is a bacteria which causes cholera. So what he has seen, that when he taken out the blood from the sheep, what he found that we know that our blood consists of several components, and when he centrifuged this blood he found different layers, and we know that in the layer in the uppermost part of the blood, which is the serum one, serum contain the antibodies. So this antibodies is basically responsible for the immune system or for fighting against the antigens. So what he did, he isolated this serum into different test tube, and what he found in this serum, this serum consisting of the bacteriolytic activity. It means that this serum particularly is responsible for the lysis of Vibrio cholerae. On its detail, to study it in detail, what he did, he heated the serum which was having the bacteriolytic activity. So what he observed, that on heating he found that the bacteriolytic activity got destroyed. So what he did, further he added some fresh serum, and this serum he has isolated from a healthy sheep who was not been infected with Vibrio cholerae. So obviously the sheep which will not be having the having any infection of Vibrio cholerae or any bacteria will be devoid of the antibody. But he is surprised to see that even on adding the fresh serum, in this heat destroyed bacteriolytic activity, he found that the lytic activity restored. Then how it came? When he think over this, he find that there are two components in the serum. One is the heat stable antibody and another is the heat sensitive lytic components. So what he concluded, that the serum which he has isolated from the sheep infected with the Vibrio cholerae, the serum was having antibody against the bacteria, but on killing it The antibody survive because the antibody was heat stable. On heating it, it does not destroy it, because we know that protein is antibody is protein in nature. So it may be possible that the protein may have denatured, but on removing the heat or after heating, when it comes back to the normal temperature, the antibody structure may have regained its own structure. And when he has added the fresh serum, and the fresh serum will be containing what it the fresh serum will be devoid of antibody, but it will be consisting of the lytic component. And this lytic component, he experimented it on the blood, and what he found, when he using this lytic component, when he covered the RBC with the antibodies, he found that this RBC or the red blood cells has also undergo lytic process, or it undergo breaking down into the smaller part. It means that to undergo lysis of any cells, there is a need of antibody and some lytic component. Later on, this component was named as complement system by Paul Ehrlich in Berlin. So this was the whole finding of the complement system. Let's move to the second part, which is the components of complement system. Now, where does this complement system or the component of complement system are synthesized? It is basically synthesized in the cells of the liver, known as hepatocytes. We know that the cells of liver is known as hepatocytes, but apart from this, a small amount of complement system are also being synthesized in the blood monocyte, tissue macrophages, and epithelial cells of the gastrointestinal and genitourinary tracts. Now, what they during the process of the discovery, when they were studying of the different components of the complement system, they started naming it as a C1, C2, C3. So likewise, 9 different components were analyzed numerically. So they have either named the complement system with simple the numerical system like C1, C2, C3 and so on, or they have also using some alphabets like factor D, or they have also used some tribal name to identify different components of the complement system. So whenever we will be discussing about the different classes of complement system, there we will be studying about all this terminology. So these components are generally present in our system as an inactive form, like that of the enzyme. So you might have studied about the enzyme that they exist in the form of inactive form like zymozymes or inactive enzymes. So what we need to lyse those enzymes into the active form. So likewise, the complement system also exists in the inactive form, and when it got lysed into two parts, the smaller part basically termed with the small letter A, and the bigger part basically given the denotation by small b, except in the case of complement system 2. This was the complement system 3, which was having two component 3A, complement system 3A and complement system 3B. So what actually happens, this complement system, the bigger part of the complement system are involved in the mechanism of complementation or the lytic of the bacteria, while the smaller part of the complement system which got lysed from the bigger part are involved in further activities of the immune system like inflammation, phagocytosis, which I already have discussed in my previous videos of inflammation and phagocytosis. So except complement system 2, all the other complements which will be in active form, the bigger part will be termed as the bigger part, and the active part which will be participating in the complementation will be denoted by small b, while the smaller part will be denoted by the small a. Now, I have said that there are different components, and of those components, complement system 1 is the most complex one, while the others, as you have seen, I have shown you the two complement systems C2 and C3, which was having a very simpler structure. Though that was not the exactly structure, I have just denoted it with the help of a oval shape. But the case of complement system 1 is quite different. It is quite complex system. So if we will see here this is the complement system 1. Actually complement system 1 consists of the three different components. This was the C1Q. So you can see here C1Q is basically consists of the 6 stacking of the different stack. One is the stack like long rod stack like structure, and one head is there. So all together it constitutes the C1Q, and these are closely packed with the help of calcium ion. Now along with C1Q, it consists of further two components, C1R and C1S. C1R was shown by this sky color structure or the light blue structures C1R, and this light pink structure is showing you C1S. So both of this structure all together constitute complement system 1. So we basically denote complement system 1 as complement system 1 QRS. This whole structure together is termed as complement system 1. Basically this C1R and CQ consist of the two different, you can see here one, it is almost a rod is there connecting two small balls together. It actually consists of the two structure. One is the C is for the catalytic part and I is for interactive part. So these two components are common in both R and S component. So basically the catalytic and interactive part, the catalytic part, and like that of the other complement system, like I have shown you that in case of 3A and 3B got separated, here also on interacting with the antibodies, these two components, this connecting part and this interactive part will be lysed out on its activity. So when these R and S components are not interacted with the C1Q component, it will resemble you some S-like structure. So you can see here it will be connected with each other forming a S-like structure. But when it will be bonded with the C1Q structure, it will resemble somewhat digit 8 like structure. So this is the how they are resembling when it will be in the bonded and unbonded form. Now next portion comes the structure of the immunoglobulin M and immunoglobulin G. I am not going to discuss it in detail because I will be having a different class for that of different structure of antibodies, because as I have not gone through that topic, so I will be discussing here the structure of immunoglobulin M and immunoglobulin G. So the most favorable condition or the most favorable antibody for the complement system is the immunoglobulin M. This is the immunoglobulin M. This is the pentameric form of the immunoglobulin M. Though here one unit of the immunoglobulin is represented by here this Y-shaped structure. So you can see here this J chain is there, which is combining the 5 monomer unit of immunoglobulin M together. This is known as pentameric structure. Whereas on the other hand, immunoglobulin G 1, 2, 3, 4 are there. All are in the monomeric unit. But to activate the complement system, there is a requirement of the interaction of C1Q with at least 2 different sides of the CH2 domain. CH2 domain is what? CH1's constant heavy chain. So we know that antibody are having two structures. One is the light chain and another is the heavy chain. So this is the in this heavy chain, this is the constant domain heavy chain 1 and constant domain of heavy chain 2. So to activate the complement system, head of the C1Q must bind to the CH2 region of the antibody, at least 2 CH2 domain. So being a pentameric structure, it is quite easy for the C1Q to interact with minimum of the 3 antibody Fc receptor at CH2 domain of the immunoglobulin M. So here I have just represented here the immunoglobulin M structure, where you can see C1q can bind to the Fc receptor of the immunoglobulin M. But unlike that, in case of immunoglobulin G, if immunoglobulin G is need to activate the complement system, then the two molecules of the immunoglobulin G must be at least 30 to 40 nanometer apart, so that the two heads of the complement system 1Q must bind or recognize the CH2 domain of the immunoglobulin G antibody. And to activate the complement system, even the one pentameric unit of the immunoglobulin M is sufficient, but in order to maintain this distance of 30 to 40 nanometer, there is a requirement of the or 1000 to or even more than amount of this immunoglobulin G will be required to activate the complement system. So there are two antibodies which will be activating the complement system, which is the immunoglobulin M and G, but most favorable is the immunoglobulin M to activate the complement system. So this was a very small introduction about the complement system. Hope you have liked these videos. In the next, I will be discussing about the different pathways of complement system. These are not much complex. Whenever we study about the pathways, we know that there will be different components will be there, and as I have said you that there are 1 to 9 components. So there is a certain sequence that first sequence 1 come, then sequence 2 come. There is a certain sequence of that which activate the complement system. So I will also tell you a story behind this, or very that is not the real story, that is story, so that you can remember the real sequence of the complement system which come and activate the complement system. So don't forget to subscribe and share my channel. I will be continue with the complement system.